Hi, it's Angela Leong with Lab 12. For Lab 12, the objective is to modify the virtual machine's hardware. For task 1, we're going to increase the size of the VMDK file. And then, so we're going to modify student VM02. So first, we're going to manage the snapshots. And then we're going to just delete all of them. After that, we're going to change the hardware settings. So that's just to right click on VM2, and then we're going to edit from 5 gigs to 6 gigs, and then we're going to hit OK. And then once that's done, let's go ahead and power it on. After that, let's go ahead and power on the VM and then open the console. And then I've already gone on and logged on and ran the command to check the disk. And as you can see here, the disk is updated to 6 gigs. For task 2, we're going to adjust the memory allocation of the VM. So that's just make sure that the VM is off, and then right click, go to edit settings, and then change the memory from 1 gig to 512 megs. And then hit OK. So after clicking OK, if we click on the drop down for the VM hardware, we can see that the memory now shows 512. For task 3, we're going to rename student VM-02. So that's just to right click on this VM and then go to rename. And then we're going to rename it to test VM-02-RDM. Hit OK. So after renaming it, let's go to related objects, go to data store, and let's go ahead and browse this data store. Once we're there, we can see that this disk file name has not changed. It still shows the original student VM. And that's because renaming it on here on the vSphere web client only changes the identity on the web client and not on the data store. For task 4, we're going to add a raw LUN to the VM and verify that the guest OS can see it. So we just right click, go to edit settings, and then we're going to click on new device, and we're going to change this to RDM disk and hit add. And then we're going to select this one, hit OK. And then for under the new hard disk, we're going to expand it. And then the location will store with the virtual machine. And then we're going to change the compatibility to virtual and then hit OK. Okay, and then we're just going to power on the VM. And then open console once it's open. After opening the console, I've logged in already and I ran the command to list the disk. And as you can see here, this 10 gigs is the disk. And then we can go ahead and shut down the guest OS. Okay, so now we're going to delete the disk. So that's just right click, go back to edit settings. And then for hard disk 2, we're going to go over, click on the X. And then check off delete files from data store and hit OK. For task 5, we're going to expand the in-provision virtual disk. So let's go ahead and training data center, related objects, virtual machines. We can see that there's 4 VMs listed, but we're going to focus on student VM01. We can see that it has 7.42 gigs provision and it's only using 1.7 gigs. So if we look at the VM hardware settings for student VM01, we can see that it's a 5 gig capacity and is located at the NFS Vol 1. So I've gone over to the NFS Vol 1 storage and then went to the student VM01, and then we're going to inflate the student VM01 VMDK file. Once the task is done, I went back and turned on the student VM1. So I powered it back down, and then I went back to the top layer, and then related objects, and then virtual machines. And then if we look at our provision and use space for the student VM01, we can see that it has increased to now 11.14 gigs provision and 5.42 gigs use space.